Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us again here on Aspiration, Inspiration with me, Jayson George. As always, we aspire to inspire before we expire. Now, today we are joined by Bronwyn Samuels. Bronwyn is from Philippi, and she is currently doing Bachelor of Social Work at the University of Cape Town. Bronwyn, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's nice being here on live with you.
No, not a problem. Thank you so much for availing yourself. Now, Bronwyn, an inspiration. We're all about inspiring, our young people and, sharing stories of people that are, in their own path to success, despite the hardships that they have faced, whether it's growing up or in their life currently. Could you share a bit about your journey with us on our platform this morning?
So, I was born in Philippi. It's called Springfield Farm, so it's like a small squatter camp vibe among like farm/farm also. It's mostly family that lives there. Historically, how we got to live there, how my grandparents or all the earlier generation lived this because the apartheid thing, whatever. I have 5 older sisters. I'm the youngest, married and settled. 4 of them do live there also.
Yeah.
The other one lives. She doesn't live there. My mom passed on when I was 7. My stepdad passed on when I was 11, and my biological father passed on when I was 19. And basically, my one sister that I'm insanely close to, she raised me with the help of the others, but I've always been more close to her. My older sister took legal guardianship of me because of social grants and the legal things around that.
Yeah.
And then so then I attended primary school close by in Nova Park, which was Belma Primary. And then I went to high school for the first 2 years at Crystal High. And then they did not have the subjects I wanted to do. So I wanted to do maths and physics and whatever because I did not know what I wanted to do yet.
Yeah.
So I left that school and started grade 10 at Grassdale High, where I matriculated from. And then I took a gap year by force because there wasn't finances available and I didn't understand the whole NSS scheme and all of that stuff. So I took a gap year and I worked for a month or 2 as a cashier initially, and then I started working at Poly Oak Packaging for 6 months, and then my contract was supposed to end, but then I also applied for a promotion because I still wasn't sure, am I gonna go study? I did apply though, because during my gap year I was in contact with a lot of people who were starting the first year and also people who's been in various fields of studying.
Yeah.
I was interested in, and because I was going to do pharmacology initially but start off with medicine because I had the subject whatever, I found that I didn't like being in the labs and all by people, and I usually talk a lot, so I wanted to do something I was going to be happy for life. And I always writing. I've gotten a couple of awards for creative writing or whatever throughout the school. So I wanted to have that aspect of writing integrated with what I do. And because I'm a people's person and I actually do want to help the disadvantaged, I thought no, there's definitely social work, and social work isn't restricted. People I also grew up with the stigma social workers just take children away. Until I actually went there, and there's many fields you can go into, and even you can go into public health with it. You can go into criminal justice. You can the criminal side of it. You can go into a lot of things and clinical side also.
Yeah.
So and then I started studying social work, and now I'm in my final year. And growing up was insanely hard. I try not to compare people's pain because I don't feel like you can compare people's pain because pain is pain, or whether you feel it growing up later in life or whatever causes it. But if I look back, I had a very difficult, finances was not there most of the time, but we might do it. And a lot of people think they know me or they know my story, but because I don't like sharing, I don't like that. I ended up here. Like some people say, like to degrade you, but I was like legit surprised because I
Yeah.
literally don't shape. Yeah, I know I attended a lot of workshops growing up and
Mm.
motivational, and um I remember that I actually attended one in matric where they spoke about you actually
Oh.
at your school. And then I attended one in the matric like the year before, and they actually spoke about you passing and whatever while you passed. So people always say, like, some people say that stuff's like just boring, like they
Mm.
don't understand circumstances, but I think it is there because they do understand circumstances,
Yeah.
and it obviously varies, and you must just take what's for you from there. And
Yeah.
that's what I can't remember exactly about which one I was, but there was this lady talking about, like, she was doing this whole meditation thing with us, and she's like,
Mm.
she would like envision what you want to be, or
Yeah.
if you don't know yet, what your interests are, and what you would want your interests to be included into what you wanted to study, whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
for you. And she was like, just lock that dream into your head, your heart, or whatever, and just write your vision down and run with it. And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, that's good advice for someone, who maybe doesn't know what they want to do yet, and just, to how can I say, try and work out some sort of vision, but also know that, you don't have to compare yourself to other people. You don't have to, you're on your own journey, and you just have to, if you have a vision, lock that vision in. But if you don't, enjoy the journey towards, where you want to be. And as you spoke a little bit about pain, earlier on, how did you deal with all of that, getting through having lost your parents at an early age, and then being raised by a sibling? How did you get through those times?
luckily for me, my siblings are like way older than me, so I would be called the last lamik, So it worked, but I know my sister who took like was my primary caregiver after that. She wanted to study. She actually wanted to study science, and
Mm.
she literally gave that dream up, and she went to go work. And when I look back now, that was like very little pay she got, but she made it work, and she's married now. And at that time, she was dating the person she's married to now, and somehow they were always my parents in a way. Like,
Mm.
I didn't know if I projected the mother father role onto them, or if they automatically made me project it onto them. But when I look back now, they never angry or bitter or
Mm.
treat me anyway, because they had to assume that I was so young, and I'm always grateful for that. And I was also in therapy, like counseling, so I would take up the services at schools that was allowed and
Mm.
available to us. So I've always been around, like normalizing talking to someone,
Mm.
and whatever came with that just had to come with it, because I found when I didn't get my way, sometimes I would be described as a troubled teen. Like a lot of teachers would be like, "Oh my word, Bronwyn was so naughty sometimes." you know? But those were my own issues. But they were never bothered or worried about my academic side. Like I could, I'm saying this, don't start a school, guys. But I would not want to go to school, but they wouldn't worry because they knew, like, no, Bronwyn's gonna do her work.
Mm.
And there's also been teachers also that also helped me, like a lot of teachers.
Yeah.
The one of them actually passed on recently, and but they've always been there. I remember there's actually teachers that still went out of their way to come and find me at home, and to be like, "I was in a award ceremony today, and your name got called out so many times." No, but 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 yeah, so it was teachers, therapy, counseling, and also my family usually. Besides a dysfunctional family, is like we made it.
Mm.
We are here now, final year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, you call it dysfunctional, but I mean that seems like it functioned pretty well in, having brought you to, where you are now, because you're now in your final year at UCT, and talk to us a bit about your studies and what you do.
So social work, I feel social work is not what I expected. I dropped that stigma second year already when I started practicing, because we start practicing from second year. So it involves report writing, and those reports can go up to 25 pages on like clients or community work programs or interventions. Like I feel like you have supervisors from both your agency and your the university, but it's kind of like sink or swim, you know. And they give you the information, but then when it comes to having to counsel someone, you're on your own, and you have to learn theories, and you have to actually go read literature and studies. And that report writing, for many of us, it feels like a degree on its own, besides our theory courses. It takes so much time, especially when you have to like write word for word what someone said at the beginning of your practicing, but later on, then you go to process writing. And you have to earn that process writing. I made sure like I'm like got it in the bag very early, because it was just long reports that I did not have time for. And then in final year, we have this mini thesis that, and this year it was actually changed to resilience. Like it was initially just going to be on antisocial behavior, but now, and it's very personal for me, the aspect of resilience. Interesting for me to actually debate the what was said about resilience and but because it's such a new concept that's studied, there was a lot of biases around it, what resilience is, and I feel like for everyone it's going to mean a different thing. And resilience is something that's going to differ depending on your class and how you grew up. You know, and so like your adverse childhood, someone from the suburbs will not have the same factor or the same understanding of resilience from someone who comes from a township or the Cape Flats. So but in the studying, but social work is very rewarding. Sometimes you're like emotionally drained because that client just took all your energy, and some days it's rewarding because they actually, even though it was a small step, but we call a breakthrough, they actually managed to not fall back in that for that time or that day. But I enjoy it. I actually do.
Great. And I mean, it's interesting that you call these people that you work with clients, to me, and you know, you say that you counsel people, and to me that sounds like you need to have a very personal relationship with the person that you're counseling, but at the same time distance yourself and remove yourself to be objective. And that's why I think it's interesting that you call them clients, although it's, you know, people that you're gonna hear their story. You basically go on a journey with them. Talk to us a bit about that dynamic. You know, when you're counseling people, how do you not get personally involved with their stories?
The reason we call them clients, I also asked this in second year. I was like asking the course convener, like the program convener of social work, like why? Because we all want to know why clients. And the thing about stigma, it's again linked to that stigma about like, because in our head it was patients, because it's mental illness, it's mental health, sometimes physical health, emotional and whatever. And she said that she actually called them patients because that's where she started working. Her first agency and her first job was in like a psych ward and whatever, and that's what everyone called them. But the reason we say clients is because many times they pay us for a service depending on whether you go private or whatever. But also, I can't exactly remember what she said, but I know mainly it's about the stigma. You don't want to stigmatize this person, call them as a patient. And answer you on the personal thing, we actually, what helps us is not having uniform. For me, that helps me not having to wear uniform, because we believe in this white coat effect. So if you like the doctor, if you go to the doctor, you're going to give him answers you think the doctor wants and doesn't want. And so when we don't wear uniform, that helps us to already break that boundary, like that barrier. Is like, I'm just like ordinary dressed like you, like this is a safe space. I'm referring to you as a client because you're using my services and I'm here to offer you. Whether it's free, somehow someone is paying for it, you know, whether it's the government or whatever. And so that helps to get intimate, to build a professional relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do get triggered, like we call that transference and counter transference within sessions, and we do write about it. And you get like, so we have to have supervisors even when you start working after studying for 2 years. You have to still have a supervisor because you kind of like have to learn how to deal completely
Yeah.
with triggered. Like some people write on the forms when we select our agencies, they don't want to be at a rehabilitation center because they personally have experience with it, or their father
Yeah.
or parents, and that's just going to be
Mm.
triggering, and they're going to be biased when writing and when working with a client. So you kind of like have to learn, can I actually separate and keep my biases
Yeah.
to myself and away, and I can just like write at the end of the report about it.
Mm.
Or yeah, but sometimes you do feel drained. Like I said, you do feel drained off the session because you literally triggered also many times suicide cases, or when clients does go into that, and
Sure.
you have to you can't save everyone, and you
Yeah.
did your there, and you have to save yourself also before you can save anyone. It's like that oxygen mask, put on yours first before you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So basically
Sure.
you
That
just
is,
have to learn.
yeah. That's so interesting. Like, this is a lot of stuff that I didn't know about social work. Ha- and Bronwyn, someone that wants to study social work. So someone listening to this, kids grow up and they're like, sometimes I want to be a social worker. What advice do you have? What's the process, and what advice do you have for such a person that may be watching this right now?
Firstly, obviously you're gonna have to know like the requirements for whatever university you choose and whether they offer it. And there's not specific like subjects for it,
Mm.
but do get a good aggregate overall marks and whatever. And then also make sure that you want to be working with people for like the rest of your life. Like personally, I'm obviously going to do masters later and whatever, and PhD hopefully. But you must make sure at that stage, you you when you go into it, there's going to be a lot of people you work with. There's going to be, make sure you open to working with all types of people. There's going to be
Mm.
community events you're going to organize. You're going to have to work in a multidisciplinary team. You're going to have to work with doctors, like other people, like lawyers. You're going to have to work with a lot of people to do those events and work with those clients and whatever. So that's the thing, the most important thing. Make sure you want to work with people, because there's no manual to work with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not to pass any other degree, they can have a manual how to build something, but we don't. Like every client that sits in that chair is definitely going to be like this notion that you have no money solves things. You're also going to learn like money doesn't solve things, because rich people come sit there with like intense problems. And
Mm.
yeah, so you're going to have to learn that the actual people or human beings before anything else. So
Yeah.
other than just work hard in school and just enjoy the degree. It's important that you enjoy it, otherwise it's going to feel like an extra 16 years you're doing compared to, yeah.
Yeah, that can it can feel quite long if you don't like what you're doing. Yeah, it feel like a lifetime. And then Bronwyn, listening to your story, I'm very encouraged to see you where you are right now, and flourishing in the environment that you are in right now. Because having faced what you faced, I can imagine that it's not easy, to have come to where you are now. For someone that is listening and looking at you now, and they're like, well, you are, where you are right now, and everything came to you easily, or you don't have to worry about, your journey now anymore because you are where you are. For someone that's listening, what is your message of hope or inspiration to that person, drawing from your story? What advice do you have to that person that's on their journey currently?
First of all, this I'm really much still struggling, but so I would start with saying the struggle is real, but so is the blessings. And you know they must know that there are people who want to help you, there are resources available, and they should explore that. And if it doesn't work for them, then on to the next, try something else. But always reach out for help. Like me, I have a very big problem asking for help. I feel like, no, my word, I can't ask for help. And like my program convener, because she has such personal relationship with us, she's like, you remind me of myself, because you don't want to ask for help until you're like stuck really. But learn to ask for help, and there are genuine people, like, and learn where it stems from in yourself, when you don't want, when someone like me doesn't ask for help. Maybe mine is based on past experience. Maybe they want to hear you have that because of me. And some people are like that, and it's hard. I'm gonna be honest, it's hard, you know. But learn to just be in the moment, explore everything that you can, all the resources, and yeah, work hard and have fun, have fun, have fun while being a student. Of the best years of your life in a way too, besides academics. And don't be afraid to dare and risk and take chances. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, we're very much human beings, and that's just part of who we are. And yeah, I can work out for you too. So, like, whoever's listening.
Yeah, sound advice, and I appreciate that advice as well. Thank you so much, Bronwyn, for your time. I mean, such an incredible story, and having come to where you are now, you could have decided to give up, at any given point, but you chose to press through, and we appreciate your time with us here this morning on Aspiration Inspiration. Any final words from your side?
Nah, just have fun. Always have fun. Try to have fun and love.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Bronwyn. Thank you so much to our listeners, our viewers today for joining us. You're on Aspiration Inspiration. As always, we aspire to inspire before we expire.